For those that don't know, I spent 3 years of my life as an Army recruiter. And if you don't know how that all works, most people that go out initially to recruit, to be a recruiter, they don't do it by volunteering to do it. They just get selected. So you get selected for this 3 year detail. And I actually was one of these people that that actually volunteered to do it. And boy, I was kicking myself after that one. But I knew I needed to do something because at the time, the career field that I was in, it was very competitive to make the rank of E7, and so, or the rank of Sergeant First Class, pay grade of E7. Anyway, I had to do something, and so I decided maybe I'll be a drill sergeant, maybe I'll be a recruiter, and recruiter won. And I probably would have been a better drill sergeant, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. But when I first got out to be a recruiter, I was terrible. I tried to do everything exactly by the book. And, I had people that probably didn't want to tell me the things that I needed to hear. Like, you don't really have to do that. But anyway, after a while, I had somebody kind of telling me that. And that's when I started doing pretty good. My second year, I came so close to being the recruiter of the year for my state, which was my battalion, which was the entire state of Wisconsin. Plus, I think we had the Upper Peninsula of Michigan too. Anyway, that's not what this is about. So, even though I was very successful my second year and pretty successful my third year, I was not about to stay out there. I made E7 because I got a good NCOER while I was out recruiting. And I'm sure that helped tremendously. Plus, when I was platoon sergeant, I had a really good NCOER. Anyway, that's not really what this is about. This is about a funny story about recruiting. So there was this thing we used to do. Now, this is going to sound crooked to some people. It's not. It's just expediency. Okay, there's a difference. So I would have never done these things, but word on the street was, okay, so there was this technique, and you'd have a guy, let's say I was recruiting in a town called Brookfield, Wisconsin. So suppose a guy came into the station and wanted to join. That would be a funny joke, because that's not how it works. Anyway, some guy comes into the station and says, hey, I want to join. I went to college here. I went to that. I don't have any. So you got to prove this guy went to college. So sometimes you have to get transcripts from places. And what you do is you have that person sign a release, and then the recruiter hauls his ass over to that school or faxes it or calls. You got to make the accommodations for getting this paperwork, right? It just makes it way easier than me telling the guy to do it. Because if you tell him to get it, now it's going to take forever. So if you're a recruiter, you want to get it like yesterday, because you want him to be in the Army as soon as possible. Anyway, so you got to get this signature from the guy that, yes, give the Army recruiter my records because he needs them. It's a release. So that we're going to call that a release. Then what happens is I'll call the college and I'll say, hey, I'm going to fax you over this release. And then I'd like you to fax over the transcripts that I need, right? Or whatever you were trying to get. Now, you would get that on the fax machine, but you'd also have to let them know that they also need to mail you the original copy, because that was important. The faxed copy could go down with the enlist, the guy that you're hoping is going to enlist, your freaking applicant, I guess we call them. We call them knuckleheads mostly, but so you take your knucklehead down to there with all this paperwork. He could join on delayed entry, but he wouldn't be able to ship until the original came. So, that could take sometimes a couple days to get that done, right? And here's the other thing. You tell them to get the transcripts or sign this letter, and you tell them to fax it back right away. Sometimes that didn't happen right away either. Those are the cases that I want to talk about. So this school, I've talked to these people, and yes, this guy went to school here. We got his thing, but we got to send this to some other department, whatever the bureaucracy that the school has to go through to get that information and the form filled out. They weren't going to be able to fax it back right away. It's going to take like a couple of days to do that. And then they would mail me the original. So I hope this doesn't sound confusing. It really isn't confusing. You're just hoping to get that fax as quick as you can, because that will allow you to take your guy downtown and have him raise his hand and you could let go of his neck. So anyway, we had this new recruiter. He was relatively new, and I was trying to show him this technique. And this is the one that's gonna sound kind of shady. Suppose that school that the kid went to wasn't gonna fax that back right away. What we would do is we would get that form that they were gonna fill out. Now, when I say we, I mean not me. This is what some of the other guys would do. They would just sign the person's name that was going to sign this, or it didn't even make any difference at all. Some signature was going to be there. The kid would join the Army, and then when that original came, you could just replace that one with, just like you would have with the faxed copy. See, if you didn't know for sure that you were going to get these transcripts, or this guy was not trying to say he went to a school he didn't go to or whatever, you would never do this technique. You'd know, it's like, he went, you're going to get it. That would be just a scenario that I could come up with. Maybe people would sign somebody's name, kid joins the Army with that thing in there, but he's not really going anywhere yet, because we were waiting for the real copy that got mailed and it got replaced. So there's nothing crooked about that if somebody were to do that. So anyway, if this does not sound confusing, I'm not surprised. But the guy this new guy, I was sitting at my desk with an applicant. So this guy was set on joining. I remember his name was Tristan, and I'm not going to say his last name. I don't think he's in the Army anymore. Matter of fact, I don't even know if he finished basic training or not. He was kind of a knucklehead. Needed to grow up. I was hoping that was going to do it for him. But anyway, I digress. So Tristan's sitting over there, and I'm sitting over here, and my partner is doing this work with this college. He's got to do this deal where he's going to send the release, and then they're going to send him the transcripts or whatever he needed from the school. So I'm sitting there, and he's going to work on the other form too that he was going to sign, or somebody would have signed that school official's name that would be used as the temporary document until we got the real one. Well, what he did though was he filled all that out, and then he got the kids to sign the release form, and then he faxed the copy of the form that he wanted them to sign with the person's signature already on the paperwork. He's now hit the send button, went back to his desk, and realized, oh shit, I faxed the wrong one. And he comes over to my desk, and he's like, Kev, man, I sent this to the school. And I'm like, what? The signed one? I was like, no, you're supposed to send a blank one to them. He's like, I thought it was the release form. And I'm like, oh, gotta think quick. So I said, quick, call that lady at the office right now. Get on the phone and tell her, hey, I sent you this form with the signature already on it. That's just an example. I'm getting ready to send you the one with the blank signature block so that you know where to sign. I already showed you. And they're just going to think, what a knucklehead. Why didn't he just put an X there or something like that? But it explains why they would receive this already signed paperwork. So he did that and it all worked out. And my boy Tristan over there was like freaking giving me props for thinking on my feet. He's like, Sergeant Morgan, the quick thinker, or something like that. You know, he was kind of like a stoner kid or something. But he obviously wasn't a stoner kid when he came in. He had to pass that urinalysis test. But anyway, it'd be something to know what Tristan's doing these days. But anyway, I thought that was kind of a funny story that I experienced with my buddy. And I know there's some people that I was in recruiting with that are on my Facebook friends list. So I'll probably cross-post this one to Facebook as well. Anyway, if you're watching this all the way to the end, like it or dislike it. I don't care. I want to know if people go to the end or not. I see how many views it is, but I'm not sure that means that they watch the entire thing. Anyway, so do that. Hit subscribe. Hit the little bell. Every time I make a video, you'll get a little notification or whatever when you go to YouTube. I'm going to try to get this channel built up for whatever reason. Just kind of fun thing I'm doing out here in the backyard on my deck while I drink a beer or two. Anyway, I'm going to end this for now.